Yeah, kind of getting the squad together again. So no Ben today, but I'm sure he'll be back next week. So uh, yeah, without further ado, really, let's just kind of hop right into this. Like Joel kind of said before we started recording here, this one kind of going to be a little bit different than what it's been most of the year with having an 11 game win streak and all. So a lot more to kind of criticize today, and just not quite as fun of one since we're not talking about Broncos win. So yeah, I guess if you guys weren't watching, Broncos lost to the Jaguars 34-20. Um, wasn't really a close game in the second half, especially. It was in the first, but kind of ran away with it in the second. So yeah, really just kind of let's just jump right into it with the guy we kind of always talk about after games, but Bo Nix ended up finishing the day with he went 28 for 47, 352 yards, one touchdown, one late INT. It was a really bad throw. He also did have a fumbled loss on kind of a miscommunication with RJ. So from Bo, not the worst day ever, in my opinion, but definitely could have been better. There were lots of drops in there. He honestly probably could have had 400 yards if it wasn't for a couple drops. And I mean, going up against a good Jaguars defense, not much more you can ask for uh, from Bo. But yeah, I don't know about you, Joel, but how do you think Bo played?
Yeah, I mean, that's a stat line that typically we would take throughout this whole win streak. 350-yard day through the air, add in a touchdown, which was a beautiful one to court that he audibled to, and got the throw right on the money. But like you said, just a couple game losing plays. That interception on fourth down, especially when you watch that back, it gets more painful every single time. And then you look at the read option at the end, which I think we should be running more, but regardless, fumbling the ball basically puts the game to bed. And then the hospital ball to Pat Bryant, not his best moment. He'll bounce back from this for sure. Wasn't a bad game. I don't think he's the sole one to blame for this week. Obviously, we'll get into some of the other guys, but yeah, decent game from Bo. I think we would take that stat line in any other game.
Yeah, like you said, he had his bad moments, but also like you said, we'll kind of talk about especially the defense kind of letting the team down in my opinion this week. So Um, he had his moments where it wasn't the best, but like you said, that audible to Sutton, that was amazing. I think he played a perfectly fine game. Kind of started panicking around the end there, but when you got down 14 to this Jaguars team, you kind of just gotta start throwing prayers. So I mean, yeah. Kind of talk about his counterpart on offense, Sean Payton. I think he pretty much called a fine game. Really, the only thing I'm kind of knocking is he called a timeout um, at the end of the first half while the Jaguars were kind of driving already. That was kind of questionable in my opinion because it kind of gave them more time to get the ball downfield. But I mean, like I kind of hinted at, offense really wasn't the problem this week. So I mean, you don't have to talk about this long, but any thoughts on Sean?
Yeah, very reminiscent of the Patriots game in 2023. Not to bring back bad memories, but yeah, calling that timeout was huge. I think it's no fault of his this time around. I think when you have a defense that has been performing the way they have the whole first part of the season, you kind of would expect them to get a stop there. Um, and we're kind of coaching the result here at the end. I think if we got the ball back there, we just punted. I think we're not even discussing this, but still, I mean, it just felt like everything that could go wrong for us last week did.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a kind of really stingy thing to talk about with that timeout, especially in the moment and everything, like you said, with the way the defense has played this year. Yeah, definitely not a bad game whatsoever, in my opinion, from Bo and Sean. I think they did what they needed to win. So I mean, yeah, let's just kind of jump into the
For sure.
defense now. I mean, Vance Joseph, he was he's always been kind of questionable ever since coming back to be defensive coordinator. So uh, it's not coming as much of a surprise to me to see this defense kind of collapsing again down the stretch, which is really disappointing because I really thought with the young guys getting better and with bringing in Hufunga and Greenlaw and just the vets like that, that it would kind of counteract Vance's weak points, which is really adjusting down the stretch. So yeah, Vance Joseph, um, it's just it's just a straight up fact now that he does not adjust whatsoever throughout the year. His defenses get significantly worse after the bye week. Normie tweeted something about his stats, I think, after Thanksgiving. And they're like bottom half of the league in every category. I mean, it's just every year his defenses get worse. Like I said, after the bye week, he fails to adjust. His play calling and his schemes are just really stale and kind of basic. We don't run stunts, especially this year. We don't disguise coverages whatsoever. Um, we keep playing guys like, I mean, we'll talk about this later, but we keep playing guys all game like Riley Moss, Alex Singleton. Um, and I mean, those guys they can have their good moments, but when they play 100% of the snaps, it definitely shows because they have their very negative moments. And I would say on average at least once a game. Singleton probably more than that, but yeah, Vance Joseph. I was kind of starting to come around to him earlier this year with how good our defense was being, but they continue to not be able to force turnovers and everything else I said. Um, I'm just I'm completely done with Vance, and it's really turning into a very large issue if our defense cannot turn this around. So I mean, yeah, you got any thoughts on Vance there, really?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything that you touched on there. Um, Unfortunately for Vance, I mean, his old boss Cliff Kingsbury really, I think, in that Commanders game set the blueprint for the rest of the league on how to beat this defense. So credit to him on that a couple weeks ago. And I think everybody that we've played since, Green Bay, Jacksonville, even the Raiders a little bit, but they just weren't patient enough or don't have the team enough to really exploit our weaknesses. So yeah, something has to change. You can really see why they went out and got Hufunga to go play alongside Brandon Jones because PJ Locke he hasn't looked good. Just being honest, and fair play to him, for all the work he did last year. But there's been significant drop off. I mean, there was a play where McMillan is signaling to him to cover his guy, and he's going to go blitz, and you just see him leave the dude wide open. So there's a lot of mental mistakes on his defense as well. Sucks to see Greenlaw pull up again with another non-contact injury. It's been a tough season for him in that regard. The past couple of years for him in that regard. Um, but yeah, they really when you give up 34 points, we were just talking about how Bo and Sean had a great game. How many times have we even said that this year? It's only been maybe a handful of times. So for them to kind of let the team down like this, the defense I'm talking about, it's been really, really frustrating. But it's been a frustrating tenure for sure with Vance Joseph.
Yeah, you just kept adding really to what I think lots of Broncos fans are thinking. I've seen some people out there on Twitter saying he isn't really the problem, but I'm just kind of gonna ignore that because it's obviously just not true at that point. Yeah, it's just it's the same thing. Especially these past two seasons, defense fell off down the stretch last year. So really hoping they can lock in here because we're gonna need them down the stretch here, especially going into the playoffs. And if Texans can't help us out a little, we are going to need our defense to come to play Week 18 for the one seed against the Chargers.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, so I mean, they got the pieces to do it. Hopefully Vance can kind of prove us wrong here and really show up and who knows, maybe get a head coaching job so we don't have to talk about this ever again. But yeah, so yeah, just kind of to keep talking about the defense here because it was the problem. Like you said, Joel, Bo and Sean, they did fine. Receivers, they had their drops. RJ Harvey played a fine game, didn't get many carries. Jaleel played a fine game, didn't get many carries. I mean, just offense putting up 20 points against a good Jacksonville defense. Throughout this year, that's been plenty for us to win, but again, just this defense has been so lackluster the past couple weeks. So what are you really noticing from this defense, and what do you think needs to change to help us get back on track?
Yeah, I mean, look at the things that have just been lacking in the couple games. We can circle back to the Packers game since I wasn't on that pod. Um, you could tell that in the first half, Jordan Love was on fire because we weren't getting any pressure to the quarterback. And then you see the Pats to 10 interception. One of the key points that's kind of underrated is we got one of the first or second QB hits to the game. Jordan Love ends up on his back. And early going, Trevor Lawrence was starting to feel that duress, but that offensive line adjusted. And once we stopped getting pressure, he was just dinking and diming all day. Um, and not to single him out, but we definitely have, despite what half of Broncos country says, we have a Riley Moss problem in that secondary. I mean, it's just obvious when you have no pass rush and they can just stand back there and see who is guarding or who is 21 guarding. That really is creating a problem. I know the missed tackle may not be much his fault, but I mean, it's just fundamental football, and it's been a problem all season as far as that goes. So we need better coverage in the back, especially with our linebackers too. Losing Sternad and having his snaps go significantly down, you can tell that it's really changed the way we play, um, especially in pass coverage. But yeah, we need Nick Bonito needs to show up as well. He needs to start living up to that contract and be a pass rusher because right now he's just kind of been there.
Yeah, you really nailed the next 2 points I was going to talk about with Moss and Benito. So I mean, yeah, just to tell you guys if you didn't watch the game or haven't heard somehow, Riley Moss gave up. He was. Let me start here. He was targeted 13 times, which is kind of common for him. He gets targeted all the time, and that's going to happen when you give up big plays like every game. So he gave up 9 receptions and get this, 155 yards. Um, and that's unacceptable. He
Goodness.
had I think he had 3 missed tackles. So again, 3 missed tackles, 155 yards given up. Um, it's just ridiculous, really. He had the interception against Jordan Love that was tipped. And I mean, even going back to last year, he gets picked on so much, and he doesn't really make the other team get punished for that. Because even with his good moments, it's not like he's picking the ball off the time. I think he had 2 interceptions last year. It might have only been one. Um, he only has one this year. So I mean, oh yeah, he only had one last year. So I mean, it's just getting to a point where it's kind of obvious that Cad and Jade Barron would be better options. That they don't play as much as Riley, but when they've gotten a chance this year, I think for Cad last year, um, they've balled out, especially Cad on the outside. Barron's done really good against tight ends. So I mean, it's to a point where Riley really needs to be benched or at least just not play 100% of the snaps like he has been almost every week. Um, I really think it's just kind of Vance Joseph loves Riley Moss. I don't know why, but yeah, those two are kind of tied together there. So yeah, Riley's a big problem. Everyone loves to defend him because he gets all these pass breakups, but that's eventually going to happen when you get targeted as much as he does. He also gets flagged more than almost anybody else in the league. and he's always for the most part in good position to break up a ball, but lots of the time just doesn't and gets absolutely mossed, which is kind of ironic there. But yeah, it's ridiculous that Riley's playing as much as he is. Um, I mean, yeah, there's just not much more to say. He's just been really bad, especially lately. Um, we really need to hope that we make a change there because it's gonna be bad if we continue to do this because it's just a obvious glaring problem and teams are attacking it left and right now. So yeah, that's something we
Yeah,
really
of
gotta
course.
lock down there. So we can take a little bit of a break of being negative about defenders here, but Malcolm Roach and John Franklin Myers, those two really continue to ball out. Malcolm Roach continues to impress me like crazy. He's been amazing this year. He had a TFL, he had a sack, he had a QB hit. Um, he was getting pressures apart from just those hits and the sacks. He's amazing in the run game, and really this year I feel like his pass rush has been a lot better. 4 sacks this year. Yeah, he's been a really good player ever since we extended him. Really glad we have him, and really hope he continues to play the way he is. And then JFM continues to play like he's got a contract on the line. 2 sacks, 2 QB hits, TFL. Um, Pretty sure he hit his career high in sacks. He's at 7.5 this year. Um, I mean, yeah, JFM, Malcolm Roach, they've been amazing. Really, these past couple weeks, they have been the only ones who really show up and show out. Zach Allen, he's always doing his thing, but there's only so much you can do when you get triple teamed on some plays because that's who the offensive line really picks on with us is they really focus on taking Zach Allen out of the play. Um, but he's still top in the league in pressures, top of the league in QB hits. So I mean, really, the interior of this defensive line has been really solid. So I mean, do you have anyone to kind of praise on this defense, or just anything to add with the defensive line here?
Yeah, with JFM, like you said many times on this pod, and it just ages like a fine wine every single week. He's played himself out of a contract here. He's just going to be really too expensive. He's a premier player. What a steal for us. Hopefully, we can make a run while we have him because he's really, really good. And I agree with Roach too. He looked amazing on that interior defensive line. Um, and this is without the Benito and Cooper helping them out too much. They're, like you said, getting double teamed, triple teamed almost on every play, and they're still able to make an impact. I think we listed it as a strength in our preseason prediction episode, and it's continued to show. Those are some really good guys that we have, and even some of our depth. I saw it, Q Robinson also deserves a shout. He was pretty good this week as well.
Yeah, Q Robinson. Totally forgot to mention him. Thank you for bringing him up. He played a really solid game. 2 QB hits, TFL, broke up a pass. He's been really good in the limited time he's got this year. His base stats don't really show it all that much, but watch the film. It's just true. He's been really good for us. So I mean, yeah, to kind of get back to a little bit of negative here with the defense because that's what it's been lately. Nick Benito, he has not showed up lately. We extended him obviously this year, but I mean he's gotten the sack numbers, he's gotten the pressures, but especially lately he's just kind of been a ghost. And that's something that people call him. I mean, when you look at his stats, he's having a fine year, 12.5 sacks. He's getting the pressures, like I said, but just he's supposed to be your top threat here, kind of on the defensive line, on the pass rush. And the thing is, like I said earlier, Zach Allen, he's getting a lot of attention. Jonathan Cooper's getting a lot of attention. Both of them are getting chipped and double teamed more than Benito is. Um, So I mean, really, when you lock up somebody like Benito on it was a good contract. It's nothing like crazy, but when you lock him up on a long-term deal like that, you want to have a superstar pass rusher there that demands to be double teamed a bunch, and when he's left alone to make the defense pay, to make the offense pay. But he just hasn't showed up lately. You kind of touched on that. It's going to be interesting to see what we do with our um, edge rushing group for not just the next years to come, but for rest of this year. Because uh, like Joel said, Q Robinson, he's been balling out. Jonathan Cooper, he's a very solid, good player, and he just continues to be that. Continuing to get good pressures, even when getting double teamed quite a bit. So he's been good. Jonah Ellis, whenever he's been healthy, he's been amazing. Dondre Tillman, sack numbers won't like blow you away 3.5, but he has 2 interceptions, which I'm pretty sure is still tied to be leading our team, which is kind of insane for an edge
Yeah.
rusher. Um, so I mean, it's going to be interesting to see kind of what this defense and for at least this year what Vance Joseph decides to do with the pass rush down the stretch here. Because I mean, if Nick Benito keeps disappearing like this, maybe you try to cut down on his snaps just a little to get Jonah and Q and Tillman a little bit more reps. But I mean, yeah, it's just been a really disappointing showing from like we've said from all the defense. So I mean, yeah, you touched on Greenlaw. He got hurt again. Um, Singleton just continues to kind of be Singleton. He'll get his tackles. That's about it. Um, Really, the only good news for the defense this week is that Justin Sternad, he's gonna be coming back, so that's huge for us because he's been really good, especially when Greenlaw was out because he was actually playing then. So yeah, any kind of last thoughts here on the defense, Joel?
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much said it, but it's also another thing. I know my man Ben would love to get into this, or he would have loved to get into this, is we just do not force turnovers anymore. And that's been really something that they're going to have to improve on as far as, and I think part of the reason is, like you said, Nick Benito, they're really just putting him out one on one nowadays. Just and that left tackle's been winning the past couple weeks, and he really hasn't made a big impact. Quarterbacks are allowed to just sit back there, make the right reads, doesn't put the ball in harm's way because we don't make them put the ball in harm's way either. The time that we did with Greenlaw's interception on on Mariota, that might be the last time that I can recall our defense actually forcing a quarterback to make a really bad read and also making them pay because we drop a lot of them as well. So that's another thing that Vance Joseph says they're going to come in bunches. So hopefully we're going to start to see those the next couple of weeks because we're certainly going to need them not only throughout these next 2 games, but if we want to make a playoff run.
Yeah, yeah, the turnovers, like you said, it's something that Ben especially has talked about on here and on Twitter all the time. Is we don't force turnovers. We're in the bottom. I'm pretty sure half of the league in turnovers. We don't get strip sacks, which is kind of crazy considering we lead the league in sacks by a wide margin. Um, I mean, it's just yeah, we keep saying that oh the turnovers they'll come, but I mean it's been a long time um, of saying that. So if there is a time for them to come, it's these next possible 7 weeks, um, or 7 weeks. Hopefully they can get going because yeah, like I said, we don't get strip sacks. Because I mean we lead the league by 13 sacks, on pace to possibly break the record. Have a really good chance to help that case out this next coming week against Kansas City's backups. Really, yeah. This defense just they were doing really good at the beginning of the year. Only knock was they weren't forcing turnovers, but they were forcing punts all the time. So couldn't knock on that too much. But now it's just everything's collapsing on this defense. Talked about it last week on the Packers pod. We finally forced turnovers. I was kind of getting excited about that, but yeah, that was really just the secondary making plays, especially Pat Surtain. That was an amazing interception. Haven't seen an interception like that in a long time. So yeah, defense just continues to really disappoint. It's really turning into a problem, and it's really just kind of a glaring hole. And like you said, Cliff Kingsbury really kind of showed the league uh, how to beat the Denver Broncos defense, and that's showing week in week out. Uh, so yeah, we've talked about the defense being terrible. Talked about the injuries a little bit. Pat Bryant getting hurt from that hospital ball from Bo. That was just heartbreaking. Hopefully he can get back soon. Hopefully we don't need him this week whatsoever. I doubt we will on Christmas. So I mean, kind of talked about really everything we can from that Jaguars loss. Anything else you really want to touch on there before we move on to this next game?
No, yeah, let's close that chapter, which I hope the team does as well. Just a good old punch in the mouth from them. Hopefully, going forward, that's something that they can build on and learn upon, and we'll definitely see those guys again.
Yeah, I think on our way, assuming we do make our way to the Super Bowl, I think we will definitely see the Jaguars again, like you said. Really, one of the only teams I can see kind of beating them if they keep playing like this is the Texans because their defense is just that amazing. And CJ Stroud, he's been doing better lately. So, yeah, really hope. I mean, I would love to run into them and really kind of. They got the first hit on us, but I would love to knock them out. But it would also be a very scary game
Oh yeah,
with how
oh yeah.
things just played out. So, um, yeah. Um, so yeah, like you said, everything about the Jaguars game there. Will Lutz had a missed field goal. That's really the only thing we haven't talked about, but he's been good all year, so I'm not gonna talk about that really. Special teams has been okay. Um, so yeah, uh, talked about it a second ago, but obviously Patrick Mahomes talked about last podcast. He's out for the year, ACL. They have a ton of guys on the injury report. I'll pull that up as I'm talking here. But I mean, going into Arrowhead on Kansas City against Kansas City on Christmas, it was going to be a huge game, and it still is a very huge game. We got to go out and really execute against this team because um, it will be an issue, even though they're extremely banged up. If we go in there thinking we got an easy W, especially with the way the defense has played lately, we just really just need to go in there and take care of business. I want a complete blowout on Christmas. So they had this one. I just saw a number here, but for sure, people that were didn't practice this today for the Chiefs, which today is Tuesday. Rasheed Rice, Trent McDuffie, Tyquan Thornton, who had a pretty good game against us a couple weeks ago, Jalen Watson, and then I don't even know who this last dude is, but lots of their key guys are going to be out. I'm pretty sure Travis Kelsey, pretty sure he's going to be playing, kind of probably having a farewell tour right now. Like I said, Mahomes hurt, Minshew, he got hurt, so we're going up against their third string quarterback. Um, Pretty sure it might be Pacheco or Hunt that's hurt because they called up Damian Pierce. They activated him off the practice squad. So I mean, yeah, it's setting up to really be what Week 18 was last year. It should just be a dominant win. But yeah. Do you have any thoughts or concerns really about this week?
I mean, I just have maybe the same concern that everybody has, if there is any, about this game is just, I know a coach like Sean won't let this happen, but just the guys getting too caught up in that we should beat this team. Games aren't played on paper, so they're still gonna have to go out and execute, obviously. Um, I don't expect something like 2024's season finale, even though that would be ideal. And honestly, what should happen, but um, I'll probably, just with everything that's at stake, we're probably going to see kind of a vanilla playbook a la Las Vegas Raiders game. Just making sure we execute, get back into a rhythm and groove. But I'm with you in the fact that I'm not a player, so I could say it. This needs to be a get right game for them, especially just to get into the groove of what it's like to get sacks, get pressure, have good coverage down the field, no matter who it's against. Um, hopefully not leave too much on tape for the Chargers in Week 18. Hopefully Houston helps us out. But again, like you said, we just have to be locked in and take care of business.
Yeah,
First sweep since 2014 that we'll be looking for as well over Kansas City.
yeah, that's gonna be amazing. Like you said, just gotta go out there and really just take them like an NFL team because they are an NFL team. They can beat us if we let them. They can beat us. Somebody who really I think needs to have a big day for not only fans to really get behind him again and just for himself even and the defense to really get going is we talked about earlier, but Nick Bonito, he's going up against their second string tackle, I believe, maybe even third string. So I mean, going up against a third string offensive tackle, not against Patrick Mahomes, who's good at escaping pressure, or at least has been in the past. He hasn't been very good this year, but yeah, I think Nick Bonito, he really needs to have a big day, even if it's he doesn't need to have a big day for us to win whatsoever. But like you said, to gain confidence going into these next couple weeks, I think he is somebody who needs to have a big game. Um, I think other guys like that is just kind of the edge rushers as a whole. Mainly Nick Bonito though. Secondary would love to see multiple interceptions. I mean, really with how good our defense can be, there shouldn't be a reason we don't have more than maybe like 3 interceptions. Unless they're just run the ball the whole time. I would love to see strip sacks, uh, forced fumble maybe. Just it like Joel said, it's a get right game. The offense, I would not be surprised to see them have a game plan like you said, like the Raiders game, super vanilla. RJ probably expect RJ Harvey to have a pretty big game. Bo Nix will hopefully have a very efficient game. He's been really good against the Chiefs, even when they're fully healthy. Probably is so far in his NFL career, it looks like it's his favorite team to play with how he plays against them every week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jaleel, he'll probably get quite a bit of touches, assuming it's a blowout. Maybe Sean wants to kind of rest RJ just in case if somehow somebody got hurt. Um, Pat Bryant, like we said, he'll be out, so the GOAT Michael Bandy should be back up. Look for another touchdown there from him possibly. Um, Maybe we'll see Elijah Moore be activated instead. I don't really know about that, but yeah, like we've said this whole time here, it's a get right game. It'd be just huge to just go out there and blow out the Chiefs. And again, I know they're hurt. I know they're eliminated from the playoffs. They're just done for this year. But still going into Arrowhead prime time on Christmas and going and blowing out the Kansas City Chiefs, that would just be big for morale and just coming off of a loss, that'd be huge. So I mean, yeah, just really not much more to talk about that game apart from kind of score predictions here. And like you said, it should be something like 38-0, but we'll probably come out very vanilla. And with the way we have played this year, who knows? It could end up being a 3 point game. But yeah, what's your score prediction for this game on Christmas?
Yeah, I'll go something light. I'll say 30-10 Broncos.
Yeah, that's very realistic. Could probably see like with the way our defense has been playing. could see him getting a touchdown in there. Realistically, they shouldn't have any touchdowns with how our defense can play, um, but it
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me. Um,
I'll give him the
so
garbage time touchdown. Only
yeah,
reason I'll give him
yeah,
10.
yeah. That's probably really realistic there. Yeah, I think I'll go. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna go like 31 to. I'll say 31 to 6. Our defense comes to play, but hopefully that happens. But yeah, I mean,
I love that.
31 to 6. Yeah, that'd be a big Broncos dub. I'd love to see that. Again, even though it's against a banged up team, it'd be big to see after a L. So yeah, it should be a uh, interesting game to see what version of the Broncos we get. We like we've said, they should go out there and dominate, but kind of never know. So I mean, really, just kind of one more thing that popped up into my head is there's been a narrative going around that this Broncos team needed to lose against a team like the Jaguars. I'll give my take on that, but what do you think about that narrative that's going around?
I mean, you can see it, I guess, from the perspective of you never want to go into 15 game winning streak when you're going into the playoffs or something like that. I still don't think that's the right word. I needed to. I think if they really wanted to kind of shake the juju, it would have been even better for them to win against Jacksonville, clinch the number 1 seed on Thursday, and then rest against the Chargers. Um, I'm not too fond of that either. I think it was a missed. At the end of the day, it was a missed opportunity from the guys. They really could have done something special by winning that Sunday. We really could have had a the best Christmas present ever, clinching the 1 seed, and now it's in jeopardy. So I don't know about needed to.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. In my opinion, it's completely stupid. Especially with the way this team got punched in the mouth plenty of times last year, and it's the same guys for the most part. I think we had the most returning players on the roster from last year out of anybody in the league. So I mean, this team knows what it's like to be punched in the mouth. Um, so like you said, really big missed opportunity. Um, so now it makes things a lot more stressful for that 1 seed. So I'll ask you about that. What are you thinking about our odds for the 1 seed here?
It's a little nervy. Again, huge missed opportunity. This really could have got put away on Thursday. Kind of sucks that it's not. But I was looking into a couple of past times, sort of the prime Patriot era, Patriot versus Broncos era of like 2012 through 2015. And call me crazy, this might be my biggest hot take. It's probably going to age like normies. Jets are going to make the playoffs take. But, Quinn Ewers, Miami, it's been even the prime Patriots, they were losing to pretty bad Dolphins teams at the end of the year. So hopefully we can get one of those. But I also think it's important that now the team, there haven't been too many do or die situations that they've had to face. Last year we had that Chiefs game, but of course it was against the practice squad. So now I kind of want to see on the ropes week 18 against Justin Herbert, a team that these guys, this specific group, has never beaten. Um, and I'd like to see what they got, what they're capable of backs against the wall. This is the difference between hosting a playoff game or going to SoFi, which again they haven't had good luck in. Um, so for me, it'd be nice to get some help, but I want to see these guys feet to the fire.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Like you said, it was a missed opportunity. It's gonna be a good test though for what's to come in the playoffs. And about Quinn Ewers and all that, that is definitely crazy. Apollo's probably screaming right now after hearing that, but so yeah, I think the fate is still in our hands. We just gotta go out and win 2 more games. The Texans could give us a huge favor if they go out there and beat the Chargers this upcoming week. I think they definitely can, but we need to go out there and pretend like the Chargers are for sure winning, um, because we have to win this game, um, and we have to have the mindset we have to win the next two games until it's not a fact that we have to win the next two. So yeah, we just need to go out there, uh, get a W next week. We'll all be rooting for the Texans. So I mean, yeah, we've really talked about kind of everything here. Do you have does this past week here change anything for what you think this team can do come playoff time?
It's very disappointing. I think on Sunday, especially in our group chat, we all had a moment of like this was really like a real crushing loss, which it seems like from watching that Elway documentary on Netflix, losing to the Jaguars for some reason for this team is really devastating. They seem to be pretty good at giving us losses like that. But, it was a hard loss to endure, but we've had harder in the last 8, 9 years. So nothing to get too crazy about or be too pessimistic over. Um, and even if I was, they're gonna have a chance to kind of lift our spirits back up. I think I may be pushing too far ahead, but I think week 18, if it comes down to it, these guys will have us believing again.
Yeah, I really hope that's the case. For me, nothing really changes. I've said it all year. Um, when we play out our best, absolutely nobody can beat us, and I think that's just kind of a proven fact, really, throughout this year. When the Denver Broncos are playing their best football on both sides of the ball, nobody can beat us. The offense will be good enough to go out there and get you 20 against some of the best defenses in the league, and our defense, at its best, can hold you to 10 points or less week in, week out. So nothing really changes for me. We just got to take care of business, get that one seed, get that bye week. Probably still play starters week 18. Uh, Probably rest guys as it gets closer and closer the fourth quarter there. But yeah. So thank you, Joel, for hopping on and talking ball here again. Lots of fun doing that. So yeah, we've talked about the Jaguars game. We've talked about the Chiefs game upcoming here on Christmas. And we've kind of talked about playoffs and one seed here. So if you don't have any final thoughts here, Joel, I think we're about done.
Nope. Just thank you for having me on once again, and to everybody viewing, thanks for all the love and support. Make sure to like, subscribe, share to your friends, do what you got to do on YouTube, Twitter, X, everything. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate you, JTB.
Of course, love having you on here. So yeah, like Joel said, please like, share, subscribe. Hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. And we'll all be watching the